Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. Today's Do You Know question is, do you know how the Christmas story is narrated in both the Bible and the Qur'an? At Christmas time, it's an ideal time to really reflect on the stories in our canonical Gospels of Matthew and Luke, the only two Gospels, really, that narrate the infancy Gospel of Jesus. But did you know that the Christmas story is also narrated in the Qur'an? This is the holy book that God gifted to Muslims through the Prophet Muhammad. And both the Bible and the Quran have the intent of really drawing people into a loving relationship with God. Even though there are many similarities between the Bible and the Quran, there are also differences. Some of the major differences have to do with composition, literary style, as well as theology. Mary and Jesus play they're significant characters and play significant roles in the both Bible and the Quran. However, there are similarities, but the differences are also exist in which they reflect the theology, beliefs, and mindset of both Muslims and Christians regarding Jesus and Mary. So why do we examine the similarities and the differences? Because by looking at both of these books with regards to the Christmas story, we begin to realize what we have in common. And secondly, we honor and respect the differences of each perspective. So we want to examine some of the similarities and then look at some of the differences. Let's start with Mary. With regards to Mary, both the Bible and the Quran believe that Mary was specifically chosen by God to be the virgin mother of Jesus. In both Bible and the Quran, Mary is seen as a model for all believers of the human response to God's call to cooperate with God's plan. As a matter of fact, in both books, again, angels appear to Mary to announce the conception and eventual birth of Jesus. Both the Bible and the Quran stress the purity and chastity of Mary. It becomes a most significant quality, and Mary is modest, obedient, and chaste, and a perpetual virgin throughout. Jesus, in both books, Jesus is a virginal birth, a gift from God to humanity, and Mary's role in both the Bible and the Quran is to point to Jesus. So Mary and Jesus are linked and connected throughout the stories. Now, the Quran, in some of the differences, the Quran adds the tales regarding Mary, which do not appear in the canonical Gospels, but rather they reflect stories that come out of the apocryphal infancy Gospel of James and Thomas, which are not accepted by Christians, but which have really impacted the devotional and spiritual life of Christians over the centuries, even to this very day. So some of the tales that show up in the Quran, reflecting the infancy Gospel of James and Thomas, are Mary's parents, the tales about Mary's parents, her conception, her birth, her dedication to God in a holy place, the argument about who would be assigned to protect Mary, her exclusive reliance on God. All these come from the infancy Gospel of James. Mary is also in the Quran a single mother. There's no male assigned to her as opposed to the Bible, in which you have Joseph around. Mary gives birth to Jesus by herself in a distant place, actually under a date tree where she first suffers the birth pangs and is eventually consoled by the newborn son that she has given birth to. Jesus in the Quran is seen as a gift from God, as he is in the Bible, by the way. It's a gift to humanity. Both accept Jesus as a gift to humanity from God, but they differ on the identity and mission of Jesus. In the Bible, Jesus is consistently referred to as the Son of God. However, in the Quran, very clearly, Jesus is consistently referred to as Son of Mary. Why is this? Because the Muslims believe that Jesus is not divine. He is a human being, given the mission of to be a prophet among many other prophets in the Muslim tradition, whose mission was to point people to God. They become a sign of God to humanity, directing them to God and asking, begging people actually to really pay attention to God's wishes and desire and to live according to that. The infant Jesus self-identifies himself. He speaks from the cradle, and he defends his mother, first of all, against any accusations against her impurity and defends her chastity and virginity. The infant Jesus, again, speaking from the cradle, identifies himself as a servant of God, one who has been given the scriptures, namely the Gospels, one who also is given a prophetic vocation and who's commanded by God to pray and give alms. Jesus, again, from his infancy, identifies himself as an ideal Muslim, one who prays and gives alms, who lives out his prophetic vocation with grace, humility, and humbleness. So a key difference between the Bible and the Quran really is the fact that there is no stable birth in the Quran. There is no Joseph, no star, no magi, no shepherds, and so on. And so these would be some of the similarities and differences that we have between the Bible and the Quran as it regards to the Christmas story. If you want to pursue this further, there are two key resources that are really very helpful in unpacking a lot of the Christmas stories in both books. One is Christmas and the Quran by Carl Joseph Kusher, excellent book in terms of really unpacking many of the details with regards to the Christmas story in both books. And then the other one is Christians, Muslims, and Mary, A History by Rita George Trekovich. Both are excellent resources in providing more information around the Christmas stories narrated in both books. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit about how the Christmas story is narrated in both the Bible and the Quran, and I hope you'll return again to more of the series questions as we continue to delve into our Christian tradition and our interfaith relationships. Thank you very much.